All right, welcome friends. I'm so glad to have you here. Thank you for joining me for this live coaching event. I am life coach and weight coach certified coach, Samantha Nielsen, and I was certified by the Life Coach School. I've been practicing since last year, but because I'm a parent, I consider myself a very well-seasoned coach as well. It's really fun to be here together, and I'm excited to entertain some questions. I'm excited to share some content about coaching and what coaching is and the value that coaching can bring into your life. And I want to let you know that I have a few added value surprises that I've built in with this presentation. So with that being said, I want to go ahead and pull up a slide, and I wanted to give you a good orientation as to what coaching is, and then allow you time to be coached if you have some questions and answers that you would like to pursue. So let me go ahead and share my screen one moment. All right, guys. I apologize. Finding my presentation. Here we go. Okay, there we go. Okay, as I said, I wanted to let you know about some values that I'm planning to add by being here and joining in our coaching experience. And I want to let you know that at the very end of our presentation, I have a worksheet available that's all about how to process feelings and emotions. So coaching is a lot of, it focuses a lot on helping us to be observant to the thoughts that are going on within our space, helps us to be observant to the emotions that we have going on in our body and in our mind, and then being the watcher of those thoughts and feelings and learning how to be more purposeful with our thoughts and our feelings to create better outcomes. You can see on this slide, I have my, my Zoom link available. I also have my website link at the bottom, which will allow you to take advantage of scheduling some coaching calls if you would like. And you know what? I actually apologize. I grabbed the wrong presentation. Let me try again. And okay, there we go. All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate your patience. Okay, my web address is listed there. On my website, I have lots of tools available for individuals who want to learn more about coaching, understand coaching. I do take complimentary discovery calls for individuals who are interested in having a coaching appointment and getting a private one-on-one experience. And then my email is listed at the bottom also, should you have any questions about what coaching entails. So feel free to jot that information down. I am recording this presentation. I'm going to send it out in a replay, so you'll have access to that as well. Now, interestingly enough, since I've become certified, a lot of people have asked me what the difference is between coaching and therapy. It's a really good question. The way that I like to explain it is, first off, there's a place for both practices. Therapy is more of a past-focused practice wherein a trained therapist comes in and helps someone to make sense of the past, have an opportunity to dive into the past and explore what's been going on that they want to create resolution with. I like to think about it as like how an archaeologist would be looking and digging through the earth and the ruins to uncover little nuggets and pieces of information that can help bring peace and resolution to a conflict that's actually keeping someone very stuck within their space. Okay, a lot of times when people choose to pursue therapy, it's because they feel like they aren't functioning well and they can't get beyond an issue that's presenting in their lives. Now, coaching is a very different experience, and I like to compare life coaching to the concept of an architect. We're designing, we're exploring, we're building, we're doing things with a lot of purpose and intention so that we can help others to empower themselves, to reach their full potential, to actualize their goals, and to pick up traction in their lives. Life coaches help individuals, as I said earlier, to make sense of what's going on the inside. And these are more often than not very highly functioning individuals who are doing very well with their day-to-day lives and their relationships, and they just want to take things to the next level. So that's a really great way for us to create a comparison between what therapy does and how it serves in the world and how life coaching also serves in the world. It's a wonderful experience. Coaching is a very present and future-focused activity to help individuals, as I said, really step into their potential and actualize their dreams and create progress and create new and better results in their lives. With coaching, a lot of times it requires nourishment, okay? It requires us to nurture the things that we want to see grow, the things that we want to see develop. So when we coach, a lot of times we will pause and look at some of those self-defeating beliefs. We'll take an opportunity to see if clients are being very intentional and purposeful with their mindset, or if they're operating with default beliefs and default thoughts that create obstacles in their lives. We also focus on a lot of personal development. Individuals who enjoy life coaching, are curious about life coaching, and want to take advantage of life coaching kind of have this quiet itch or this little nudge that's pushing them from within to do more and to be more in their lives. And so through looking at their personal development and where they want to go and the goals that they want to pursue, this is how we can create advancements and really pick up some traction in propelling them forward, in becoming something new and better, in actualizing who they want to be and really fulfilling their dreams and desires. It's a wonderful experience. It's a wonderful process. And coaching can apply to us in so many different ways, whether it's time management, our relationships, our health and wellness, or just our own self-confidence. There's so many different areas available to us to explore in coaching. Now, coaching really isn't an unfamiliar practice. If you think about it for just a moment, as parents, we certainly know what coaching is all about because we're the ones writing the checks for, volleyball setting appointments, voice lessons, piano lessons, math tutors, and debate coaches, right? Coaching is actually a very familiar and common practice within our society. And the reason that we secure time with a coach and the reason we make time for coaching is because we want to improve a skill. We want to grow a skill and improve a skill and see further advancement in one of our areas of interest or in one of our areas where we have some natural talent and capability. Again, friends, if you have any questions as we're going along, you're welcome to use that chat box. I'd be happy to take it. You're welcome to raise your hand. And in a moment, I'm going to pause here in the presentation and see if you want to be coached on any specific issues. I really felt strongly about giving you a good background and a good foundation as to how coaching can serve you in your life and what the fundamentals are of coaching. So this being said, I'm going to move to our next slide, which talks about the human condition and the motivational triad. Oftentimes in our lives, we're going on about our business just fine. We're having really positive experiences, and then sometimes we can get stuck, and sometimes we can hit roadblocks because of our own choices. As individuals, we are programmed to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and expend the least amount of effort possible. And it's in these moments when we engage with one of those three components that we actually find ourselves kind of like spinning in the same patterns and spinning with the same belief systems that aren't serving us. Let me give you a little example of the motivational triad. If you have children and you have a project that you need help on, let's say on a Saturday morning, chances are good that you've been met with some of this resistance that shows up through the motivational triad, okay? It's 9 o'clock in the morning, you get your lovely children out of bed, and you're like, come on, we're gonna go clean the garage, and we're gonna clean up the yard and pull weeds, and you're on board. You look around, and your kids are nowhere to be found. They are avoiding pain. This is how children and teenagers respond when they're invited to engage in something that's a little bit unpleasant. They kind of like retreat. And pretty soon you find that someone's on their video games, they're seeking pleasure, they're hiding under the blankets, they're avoiding pain. Or if they are up and helping, maybe they're doing like a 50% job rather than 100%, because this is not a really pleasant activity that they want to get engaged with. And so it's very natural for us, even as adults as well, to slip into the motivational triad where we seek pleasure, we avoid pain, and we expend the least amount of energy possible in doing the things that are going to help us to be better individuals. This is a very natural obstacle. It's a normal part of our human condition. And when we slip into the motivational triad, we actually have to hit the pause button. We have to engage a higher level of thinking and invite ourselves to do better, to show up better, and then to engage in a better way as well. We have to use that prefrontal cortex rather than our primitive brain, which wants to keep us safe in the cave, sitting on the couch, watching Netflix and eating popcorn all day long. So this being said, coaching can be a really foundational tool in helping us to bypass and learn how to get over and work through the motivational triad. Okay, friends, at this point, I want to pause. Is there anyone who would like to raise their hand and be coached on an issue? This is the goal of our hour, and I did want to make this available to anyone. So let me turn my share off for a moment. And let me look in my chat. Okay, I have a question from Lisa. Lisa, thank you. What drew me to coaching? This is such a great question. All right, interestingly enough, a few years ago, I really felt like my life got off track. I was experiencing a lot of personal disappointment and personal pain in my life, and I found myself slipping into that motivational triad, which I spoke of. I was doing a lot to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and I wasn't processing my emotions in a very positive or effective way. As a result, I put on a lot of weight. In fact, I have a few slides later into this presentation that shows me at a very unhappy stage in my life. And because I was avoiding my emotions and I was avoiding processing some of these difficult conversations and difficult exchanges, my weight went up, and at one point in time, I was over 200 pounds. When I realized that I was out of balance in my life and that I was so tremendously unhappy and in this pit of despair, as I like to call it, I had an awakening. And I realized that I couldn't continue forward in this way any longer. I wasn't being present for my children. I wasn't being present for myself. I wasn't even happy in my own skin at this point, and I needed a change. So I was very, very fortunate to come across my mentor, Brooke Castillo. I was able to cross into her space. I was able to tap into her resources, and I started putting her tools to work in a very purposeful way to help me dig myself up and out of that pit of despair. It took consistent effort. It took daily application. It took a lot of purposeful thought in engaging my prefrontal cortex and choosing to be present and show up for myself in a very committed and consistent way. Through that work, I was able to really come into this beautiful space of abundance and happiness. And I've become certified, as I said, in life coaching. And now my goal is, and my desire is, to bless other individuals who are finding that they're struggling as well with depression and despair, weight gain, troubled relationships, and other things that just enter our lives because we're human beings. Thank you for that question, Lisa. Okay, I see a question here from Melinda. My husband is ultra thrifty until it comes to buying a bunch of camping gear. He gets a little bit overboard, and I am frustrated because camping is an activity that we do only a few times within the year. I would rather spend the money elsewhere. Okay, so Melinda, you have a thought. You have a thought that your husband is ultra thrifty. Now, I want to let you know that your thoughts are optional, and your thoughts aren't always true. This is the meaning that you are attaching to the event and the circumstance of your husband buying camping gear. We know that your husband buys camping gear, but not everyone would agree that he is ultra thrifty. You interpret this activity by assigning a thought to the camping gear. My husband is ultra thrifty and he buys camping gear. You shared the emotion of frustration with me in this as well. And when you see that he spent money on the camping gear, it creates a feeling of frustration. And from there, then you choose to take action, or sometimes we retreat and we don't take any action at all. And our emotions always show up in our behaviors. Our emotions always fuel our behaviors, and it's either in a positive or a negative way. So my guess is that when you feel frustrated, maybe you retreat and you actually withdraw from engaging with your husband. And then as a result of spinning in frustration and choosing to not engage, you may have an outcome of having less connection with your husband. So, and that goes on to perpetuate the feeling of frustration and also that belief that your husband is ultra thrifty. And if we were to add a little extension to that sentence, it would be, and I don't like it. We can see that just in the facts of the emotion of frustration that you presented with. So that's a really, that's a legitimate feeling for sure. And in fact, let me see, Melinda, would you like to jump on and we can talk about how you might want to experience something different? I'm going to turn your camera on, friend.
Oh, great.
Okay, let me see. Oh, there you go. Do you want to start your camera?
Okay, am I on?
You are on. Okay, so
There you go.
what I did, Mindy, is I utilized a tool that actually allows us to analyze how our thoughts create our feelings, and our feelings lead us into action, and then our action creates our result. Okay, so I'm going to repeat again what those steps and those pieces of the puzzle were that you shared, and then I'm going to ask you how you want to feel. So your husband buys camping gear, okay, and that's just an event. That's a neutral event, and the way that we know that it's neutral is because not everyone would have a negative thought or a negative emotion to their spouse buying camping gear, okay? If we were to ask Lisa or if we were to ask Jackie how they feel when their spouse buys camping gear, we would get two different thoughts, all right? So your husband buys camping gear and you have this thought. Is the thought still true? My husband's ultra thrifty and I don't like that he buys camping gear.
Yeah, it seems like he's ultra thrifty on everything else, but camping gear we kind of spend like crazy.
Okay, so let's pause right there for a moment. And friends, I want to let you know I'm actually using a pen and paper here to capture Melinda's thoughts so that I can really be true to what she's sharing and I can give her an accurate reflection of what she's sharing as well. So my husband buys camping gear, and then how would you finish that sentence?
Excessively.
Okay, all right. Excessive camping gear and doesn't hesitate to spend money there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now, when you have this thought and you have this thought spin around and repeat itself in your mind, my husband spends money on camping gear, excessive money, and he doesn't hesitate to spend the money there, then what's the emotion that comes forward?
I would rather, I'm a little frustrated. I would rather spend it on other items that we would use more often because we can't camp that often.
Okay, so you have a feeling of frustration. And then from frustration, talk to me about how that shows up in your behavior choices.
Sometimes I get a little cranky and complain, that we spent that money. So I'm not always the kindest and most excited when he shows me the newest, latest, greatest item he purchased.
Okay. And when you're experiencing, when you're choosing to be cranky and you're complaining and you feel agitated and you're showing up in this agitated state, then what's the result that you create for yourself, Mindy?
I think it puts space between us because I'll be frustrated with him or I'll be like, I don't want to go camping. So then it's not really building the relationship. It's kind of putting space in between.
Okay. And may I also offer that it also triggers you to watch the money a little bit closer? Would that be a true result as well? You
Yeah.
voiced that in that you said you want to see that money put towards other things within the household.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. So it triggers
Yeah.
you to watch the money a little bit closer. All right. Now, when we look at these thoughts and these feelings and how they're working in your life, do they feel like they're serving you in a positive way, or is this something that you would want to analyze and create a different outcome with?
Yeah. I need to find a better way for them to serve me.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not serving in a positive way.
Okay. Because I'm going to guess you really don't want to feel distance with your husband.
Nope.
Okay. All right. So your husband buys camping gear, and what do you ultimately want to feel about your husband and the camping gear? Is there something different that you would like to feel? We're going to try and build a new belief for you to lean on and consider embracing.
Okay.
What do you
Well,
ultimately want to feel?
I ultimately want to feel I should feel happy because he's buying the gear to spend time with the kids.
Okay. And
So in that regard, it is a good purchase because it's investing in family time.
okay. All right. So you communicated to me that you want to feel happy. What would you need to believe in order to support that emotion of happiness?
That the gear it's for a good cause. I mean, it's for building memories with the kids.
Okay. And do you believe that?
I do. I do. Yeah, it is
Okay.
for a good cause.
Okay. When you think to yourself that the camping gear is for a good cause and it's for building memories with our kids, does that still create a feeling of happiness, or is there a different emotion that taps?
Um, well, I'm not as frustrated with the money being spent.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm grateful. I like that he wants to spend time with the kids.
Mm.
Because there's probably a lot of families out there where the husbands don't really focus on spending time with their kids. So I should be grateful that he wants to do that.
Okay. Okay. And you know what? Gratitude is such a beautiful emotion. Oftentimes it comes to us, and it can come to us in different amounts. It doesn't necessarily mean that it's 100% and that you're like off the charts elated that he's out buying the camping gear, right? A
Right.
lot of times our gratitude can come in different proportions given our situation. So when you think the camping gear, my husband's buying this camping gear, he's buying this so we can create memories as a family, and you feel a portion of gratitude, then how do you respond? What are the behaviors that you respond with from a place of gratitude?
Well, then I'm grateful. And so then I guess I'll look at it differently. I'll look at it as a positive thing and I won't, be frustrated and putting space, or kind of stonewalling and pushing him away.
Okay. So
Um,
how do you choose to show up then within this relationship with your husband?
um, I should tell him, I appreciate him taking the kids, 'cause sometimes he'll take the kids camping just for me to get rest.
Okay.
So I should tell him I'm grateful that he takes the time to do that.
Okay.
Um,
So you
so maybe
extend
look at
yourself
it
in
that
more open
way.
communication. You
Yeah,
can allow for some open communication. Okay.
yeah.
All right. And when you do allow yourself to be open to, expressing gratitude and having increased communication about the camping gear, then what does that create for you? Not for your husband and the children. What does it create for you?
Um, just I guess peace or calm in my heart,
Okay.
like a good feeling that
Okay.
I don't know how to put it in words.
So you get to be at peace.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And may I offer to you that this thought of the camping gear, my husband buys this camping gear so that we can create memories as a family, is going to serve
Mhm.
you in a more beautiful and abundant way than your original take on the camping gear, which creates a
Mhm.
lot of frustration and agitation and distance between you and your husband. So when we can choose to be an observer of our thoughts and like hit the pause button on those negative thoughts that come in and spin, then it allows us to really open ourselves up to better possibilities. Okay. Now, it's
Mhm.
normal for us to experience the contrast of emotions. That's part of our human experience. We are going to have moments that are frustrating. We are going to have moments that are sad and disappointing. But that's an opportunity for us to do a check and balance with our thoughts and ask ourselves, is this thought really true that's causing my sadness or causing my frustration? Or am I really like misinterpreting the details? Or am I really turning a molehill into a mountain? And from that space, it allows you to reclaim more of your power. And that's the beautiful thing about analyzing our thoughts and also coming into a one-on-one coaching appointment or also a coaching space, because it does allow you to be more objective to your thoughts and then be more purposeful in how you choose to engage with those thoughts. Thank you for
Yeah.
volunteering, Mindy. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Okay, Lisa shares, I am finding I emotionally eat popcorn a lot. I even know I even know it when I am doing it, but I still do it. I can't seem to find the motivation to not eat the popcorn. I keep telling myself I deserve a treat, but I know it's not helping me. I want to not want the popcorn. I can't seem to get there. Lisa, if you would like to turn on your camera, you may, or if you don't want to come on screen, I'm happy to coach to this as well. Um, let's see, here she is. Hi, Lisa.
Hello.
Thank you for
Thank you for
joining me
helping me with
today.
this.
Okay, so let's talk about the popcorn. Eating popcorn, right? That would be your activity, which is a very neutral activity. And you are having this thought, I don't want the popcorn. Is that true?
Yes. Yes. And even as I say it, it feels so trivial, but I just want to like not need it anymore.
Hmm.
But I also kind of want it because at the same time, I feel like there's a point where life is supposed to be fun and it's short and it's like not a big deal.
Mm-hmm.
So I keep going back and forth because it feels like it's not a big deal, but it also feels like kind of a big deal because I feel like it has this like control over me in a way too.
Okay. All right. So you have this belief that the popcorn has control over you, and you're having this mental like disconnect and tug of war inside about how you feel about whether you can or cannot have the popcorn, right? So when you have this thought that I don't want to have the popcorn, what kind of a feeling does that create for you?
Frustration.
Okay. All right. Okay. And when you sit in frustration and you have the thought spinning around that you don't want to have this popcorn and you slip into frustration, then how do you show up for yourself? What do you choose to do?
I think I think I ignore it and I usually just grab the popcorn anyway.
Okay.
Then I kind of judge myself for it.
Ooh, okay. So you sit in judgment and you
Mhm.
ignore, are you ignoring your emotional cues? Or are you ignoring that prompting in your mind that's asking you to not choose the popcorn? What are you ignoring?
I feel like I'm ignoring both. Like, yeah, whatever. I'm frustrated. I don't care. I'm just going to have this popcorn. And then also ignoring the fact that I know I shouldn't have it is the subtext. Like, I shouldn't have this kind of thing. And so then I'm trying to tell myself that you can't tell me what to do, brain. Like I can have the popcorn if I want to have the popcorn. It's not a big deal.
Okay.
Uh,
And so when you're sitting in this space of judgment and you're feeling like, I shouldn't have this popcorn, but I'm going to, what's the result for you?
well, I don't really enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
it's a waste.
Okay. So you don't end up enjoying the popcorn. And what else, interestingly enough, can you see what else happens? Can you see how it turns around and it comes into a space of you're judging yourself? And then you feel negativity towards yourself?
Yes. Yeah, you're right. That's exactly what's happening.
Okay. So you don't enjoy it because it's a defeating event. You increase your judgment and negativity towards yourself because you're going into this with these conflicts, this conflict of emotion. Now, why is having the popcorn a problem? I'm curious.
Because I feel like I should be stronger. Like I shouldn't need it.
Okay. And how's that thought serving you?
Well, it isn't serving me because it's causing more judgment around it. Because it's like I've given up other things, to show myself that I'm strong or whatever, but I think it just ends up being, I just find a new thing to lean on. Now
Okay.
it's popcorn. If I give that up, it'll be tea. It'll be or something.
Okay. And when you have this thought, it sounds nice. It sounds like it should be a really helpful and productive thought of I should be stronger. I shouldn't want it, but it's really counterproductive. Can you see that when you think that and you choose to hold that in your mind and in your space as you're programming, it can actually work against you? Because what emotion does that fuel when you think I shouldn't want this, I should be stronger? What kind of emotion comes forth?
I don't know if this counts as an emotion, but judgment. It's more of it's like the self-blame or self-judging.
Yeah, for sure. And when you feel judgment because you truly believe that you shouldn't want this and you should be stronger, then what are your behaviors that come forth in the ways that you either show up or don't show up for yourself?
It feels like more of the critiquing. To which point then I feel even worse. So I just want the popcorn more to feel better.
And then what's the result?
That I eat the popcorn.
And is that true?
If I have it, honestly, yeah.
Okay. All right. And so then that goes around to support this belief, this misguided belief that you should be stronger and that you shouldn't want the popcorn, right?
Yeah. So then I kind of become like trapped by it. And
Yes. Yeah. Interestingly enough, our results always support the thoughts that we are engaging with. And this thought of I shouldn't want the popcorn, I should be stronger. We think it's a kind of like a noble and admirable thought to have. And we think it's going to empower us in a beautiful way and in a really strong and disciplined way. But it's kind of self-defeating and negative in that it almost sets you up for failure, because then you feel this kind of cognitive dissonance within yourself.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it was interesting when you just even asked, why is that a problem? Because to me, it was just obvious that it is a problem.
Okay. So is that something you really want to change, or is it something you want to make peace with in your life?
I kind of feel like I just want to make peace with it, and let myself enjoy it as opposed to making it this big bad thing.
Okay. So if you had the result of just wanting to enjoy the popcorn and make peace with this food of choice, right? That's all popcorn is. It could be chocolate. It could be bagels. It could be, potato chips. If you want to have this result of making peace and being able to enjoy your food of choice, let's see, then what do you need to choose? What would your actions look like?
Well, I definitely wouldn't be judging myself while I do it.
Okay. Tell me explain a little more of what that means for you.
Not believing, I'm not thinking of actions well. I guess I'm thinking like not believing what my brain is telling me about how oh, this is bad. You shouldn't do this. Just rolling my eyes at those thoughts or something.
Okay. So may I offer that maybe that thought is just allow yourself to be a human?
Yeah.
Allow yourself to have some pleasurable food of choice.
I forget that I'm human sometimes. Seriously, I just think I should be better than I'm, but yeah, I could just enjoy it like a human would.
Yes. And interestingly enough, you've shared this concept 3 or 4 times with just slightly different words, right? I should be stronger than this. I don't want to want this. I know better than. And all of those statements, when they're spinning in our mind and we're leaning on those as our beliefs, they just set us up to experience more judgment and frustration.
Yeah.
So if you were to allow yourself just to be human and to enjoy a food of choice, then what kind of an emotion does that trigger?
Excitement.
Okay. All right.
Giddy is the word. Giddy. I'm giddy about it.
Okay. All right. And if you're feeling excited about this belief, hey, I'm going to allow myself to be human. I'm going to allow myself to have a moment of pleasure and in enjoying my popcorn and really savoring every single bite. Then how does that show up in your actions?
I eat the popcorn and I enjoy it and I don't second guess it. And I just like allow myself to appreciate it and love it.
Nice. And that's the outcome that you can have. That's the outcome that's available to you if you want that, right?
I do. Oops, sorry, my dog.
That's okay. Well, that is always available to us when we choose to embrace that. And isn't it so interesting? A lot of times, as you pointed out, Lisa, we think that we should be better at something, at resisting something than we are. And whenever we come into resistance rather than allowing, it usually backfires.
Yeah, no, that's fascinating. I didn't realize how hard I was resisting it, and even the fact that I could enjoy it in the first place.
Sure. And it's going to serve you better if you come into a healthier space with that activity than if you're sitting in this place of resistance, because our willpower is limited, and eventually the willpower is going to give out, it's going to give way, and we're going to indulge, or we may buffer with something else, and then we're going to spin with additional feelings beyond judgment and frustration. It may slip into shame. It may slip into, self-defeat. And that's not worth it. So not worth it. So when I offer to you that you can make peace and enjoy your time with your food of choice, with your popcorn, is that something that you believe?
Yeah, I think so. I think I'm still kind of surprised, even though I keep thinking this sounds so silly, but yeah, I can get there.
Okay. I'm glad you actually responded this way. I'm really glad you responded this way because, friends, when we're trying to reprogram our mind, it's like we're asking ourselves to drive on an unfamiliar road. Okay. We have lots of default settings in our minds, and we have practiced these thoughts and we've practiced these beliefs so often, it's like a well-worn pathway. And so we go to those default settings very naturally because it's what we know. Now, I want to draw a quick comparison here, and thank you, Lisa, for that example, because I want to build on this. If you were to get in the car and drive yourself to the local grocery store because you're out of milk and eggs, you probably wouldn't even have to think twice about how to navigate from A to B and get yourself to the grocery store. It's very automatic. It's very comfortable, and it's our go-to. We know that path, and it's a default. When we're allowing ourselves to embrace a new behavior of choice or a new thought or a new way of being, it's uncomfortable. It puts us out of our comfort zone, and it's as if you were driving to a different location, a different grocery store that's on the other side of town. If you had to go to a grocery store that's on the opposite side of town and not one that you visit on a regular basis, you'd have to be very purposeful with your thinking. You'd have to really be aware of how you're navigating the roads and if you're going to turn right, if you're going to turn left. And it's going to be uncomfortable until you practice that path often and repeat it many, many times. And so when we're allowing ourselves to, extend a measure of compassion or extend a measure of patience to ourselves and embracing new thoughts and new behaviors, we have to know it's going to be uncomfortable. It's like going to that new grocery store that's on the opposite side of town. And it's going to require practice, and it's going to require us to be very observant and thoughtful. But that's how we build better thoughts into our lives. That's how we engage and up-level our behaviors and show up in better ways for ourselves, is through going through that discomfort and allowing that discomfort to become more of the default than what we've practiced in the past. Lisa, do you have any other thoughts about that? What's your takeaway from the two models that we ran on eating popcorn?
Well, I think I just keep thinking like, so I can enjoy it and it isn't mean it like something's wrong or that I'm like being bad. So I think I'm just going to kind of sit with that.
Yeah.
And just keep, I don't know, just realizing that.
Sure. And, interestingly enough, it's funny because for you, eating popcorn can, and always going to this, pleasure food triggers you in a significant way. And I mean, I have no association with eating popcorn at all. It means nothing to me. It's popcorn, right? But such a good example, because a lot of times food, whether it's popcorn or, cheese covered French fries or desserts and sugar cookies, a lot of times foods trigger us in a really, really funny way. And so when we can make peace with it and we can allow ourselves to enjoy it within, appropriate boundaries, then that allows you to experience things in a different way, and you can let go of the judgment and the frustration. Let me know how that goes as you practice that. Such a good example. Thank you. Okay, let's see. All right. I saw a note from Jillian. I think I have something I'd like to be coached on. It's not fully formed, but I'd be happy to work through it with you. Jillian, would you like to come on camera and share this with our crowd? Okay, if you click on the button in your corner, it should enable. Yes, there you go. I see.
I'm on.
You are on. Tell me what you're thinking about today.
Really quick, I just wanted to thank Lisa for bringing that forth. That was super, super helpful for me. And I also love the timing in which your doggy barked. I felt like animal medicine was just so present. So
awesome.
My unfully formed thought is, I'll just share the experience. My partner and I my beloved and I are both off of work today, and I was getting my hair done. He called me. He was like, "Babe, as soon as you get home, we're gonna go on a bike ride." And I had been fasting all day, and I was like, "Cool." He was like, "Yeah, we're gonna go for an hour," and he was giving all these details on how long we were gonna ride. And immediately, I was just like, "Stop telling me the details. I'll just show up and we'll go." And I felt this feeling of, if I knew too much about what we were going to do, I was shrinking. It was almost like, I don't know if I can ride for an hour. I'll do whatever I can. I'd rather not know what we're going to do, and I'd rather sort of just show up. So this has been sort of a theme where I feel like if you tell me we're going to go on a bike ride for an hour and a half, just the thought of having to commit makes me like go, no, I'll do 10 minutes. If I can do 10 minutes and that's it. Even though I can do the hour and a half, it's almost like knowing it and committing to it. I'm like, So I was just thinking, I was like, oh my God, any chance I get to work with Samantha on something? I'm like, think of something. And that happened this morning. And I was like, this feels like I want to kind of work through it.
Great.
So is that formed enough?
Yes. Yeah. That's
okay.
Wonderful. Thank you for sharing that with us. That's
for sure.
a great example. So you've been invited to do an activity, right?
Yes.
The bike riding is the activity. And it sounds like it could be maybe even a different activity. We could put in, go to
rock climbing or hiking. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay. So activity is your circumstance. And when your sweetheart lets you know that you guys are going to be going for an activity, you shared the thought of this commitment, and finish the rest of that thought for me. I want to make sure that I captured it correctly.
Yeah, for sure. The thought of this commitment, well, maybe you can help me here. What I feel is intimidation and like inadequacy. Like, I don't know that I can do that for sure. So instead of like, yeah, I'm going to go for it. Fuck it. Excuse me. Sorry. Excuse me. Like, I'm just going to, whether I do it or not, it doesn't matter. Instead, I'm like, I create a safe zone of like, well, I don't know if I'm going to do all that, babe. I'll tell you I could do a half hour, and that's where I'm going to stay, even though I end up being able to do the more. So my thought is like, I'm going to do what I feel like I can do. I'm not going to make any promises.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. The thought of the commitment triggers you into a little bit of resistance.
Totally. Full on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So it triggers your resistance. And interestingly enough, when you're triggered with this thought, and it sounds like, it could be rock climbing or biking or out for a long walk, he's inviting you to do something, but you're receiving it as if he's telling you.
Yes.
You're receiving it as if he's instructing you, and that's triggering you. So when you're being invited to participate in this activity, it triggers you, and the thought is, I'm going to do it my way.
Yes.
Is that accurate?
Yeah, yeah. I'm gonna do it my way with the amount of free, like, yep. My
Okay.
time commitment, how long I want to go, my speed, yep. Exactly.
Okay. And if I were to offer a ... behind that, um, I'm picking up from you, Jillian, and we've worked together a lot.
Yeah.
So I definitely, we've had this opportunity to build a relationship. The ... that I'm hearing from you in your, undertone voice is, and don't impose your requirements on me.
Yeah.
Would that be accurate?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I want to capture that one moment.
This is why I love coaching, because sometimes you give language for what I can't quite like pin.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the fun part of it, because what,
Yeah.
I can see it from a neutral space, and I can see
Exactly.
it with
Yeah.
a different perspective. You're in the thick of it.
Yes.
So it feels very different for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So your sweetheart reaches out, he invites you to do an activity, and you're immediately triggered. And the thought is, I'm going to do it my way. Don't impose your requirements on me.
Yeah.
And then when you have this thought, what is the emotion that it generates?
I'm going to throw some words out, and I don't know if they're necessarily emotions, but there's definitely this feeling of like inadequate. Like I don't feel like I can live up to this presupposed requirement that he set, even though I know it's not a requirement. But inadequacy, I feel like, is really what comes up. So
Right.
I feel like I kind of just dim and go, I can promise 10 minutes, and anything more is great, but I'm going to just lock in here. So there's just an adequacy feeling.
Okay. And that caused me to think of something I want to write down. One moment.
Okay. No, please.
Yes, for sure. And as you were sharing this situation with me, I wrote down the emotions of doubt and resistance.
Yes.
And inadequacy, I think, is a perfect emotion that summarizes what this thought does for you. So you're the one attaching the meaning to the invitation. And the
Yeah.
thought that you're spinning with and that comes to mind, and you're kind of like holding on to, like, a really important purse, is I'm going to do it my way. Don't impose don't impose your requirements on me. And when you think that, it triggers your emotion of inadequacy. And from this place of feeling inadequate, then how are you showing up for this opportunity with your sweetheart?
Yeah, I mean, today was, I showed up in the sense that I rode, but it was almost like this little inner girl in me was having a little tantrum, like, you go, I'm going to go at my pace. And I did do the ride, but I definitely did it from a place of, I'm going to do it so comfortably for me. And then I feel like, I could have pushed a little more. I could have, maybe went up the hill instead of walking my bike up the hill. But I'm so locked into like, I'm going to do it my way, that I kind of like half-ass it.
Right.
And I settle for this like half-assery.
Okay. You know what? And so when you don't show up 100% and you're not present 100% because you're having kind of this internal meltdown.
Yeah.
Right? You're having a little bit of this like mind drama,
and
it reflects in your actions. Like maybe you're not quite, like you said, you're not fully engaged in enjoying the ride, and you're, maybe holding back a little bit and kind of wandering about or taking your time or so forth. Okay. What's the outcome for you? How does that impact you in this experience, Jillian?
What I feel like I do is I reinforce like this. As long as I go, this kind of the settling and this energy of like, I settle for a lower level of what I can show up for. So it's like, I do it and I do it 10%, and the result is I get 10% out of it. And I sort of reinforce like, well, Jill, as long as you did it, it's fine. And I'm like, but I want to do it better, and I want to do it more fully. And I keep reinforcing like, well, as long as you did it, that's okay. Even though I know my did it is sometimes 10% of what I really can bring. Right. And I keep reinforcing this kind of low level showing up as it relates to like my physical activity.
Yeah. So you don't get to fully enjoy the experience
either. Yeah.
You don't get to fully enjoy your partner. You don't get to fully enjoy yourself. You don't get to fully enjoy the experience that's available to you. Yeah. And also you're not showing up as your most authentic self.
Yeah.
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 So it kind of puts a damper on the whole experience, because you're like, stop. Don't bring your requirements to me. Don't impose your requirements on me. I'm going to do it my way.
Yeah.
And then it colors the whole opportunity.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, you know, it's good for us to be aware of that. And it's good for us to be able to like open the curtains a little bit wider to see why we're doing the things that we're doing and what the outcome is. Because my guess is that your partner probably still enjoyed the bike ride quite a bit. And in your mind, you were spinning with these thoughts and beliefs and feelings about it being a less than fulfilling experience.
Totally.
Yeah.
And it's like this, I stay in this like playing it safe mode where it's like I only allow myself, like, this is what I can do. It's the least effort possible.
Yes.
And I keep reinforcing, hey, the least effort possible as long as you did it. And I live in that space. So, yeah.
And if you don't show up 100%, then guess what? Our evidence of not showing up 100% reinforces that thought of, I'm not going to meet the requirements that you're imposing on me.
Damn, that's so true.
Isn't that like eye-opening?
Holy, yeah, for sure. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't even see it that way. It's like this perpetual, wow, okay, I went a different thought.
Yeah. You're not showing up 100% and you're like, let me just prove to you. Let me just prove back to you that you can't tell me we're going to ride for an hour.
Yep.
My way.
Yeah.
Is that what you want as an outcome with your opportunities and your activities with your partner?
No, not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
So interesting.
Yeah.
That's some really good work right there, Jillian.
Wow.
And I would also offer to you that maybe you could ask yourself, where else is this showing up in my life?
Yeah, for sure. I can see it already. Yeah, I can see it.
Oftentimes, the way that we choose to do one thing is the way that we choose to do many things.
Oh my goodness. And it's funny you say that because I, a few minutes ago, literally said, you know, this is just showing up as it like relates to my physical activity. And I'm like, I don't think that's entirely true. I definitely think it's in many other areas that I wasn't allowing myself to like really see until right now. I'm like, oh shit, it's showing up in other areas.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. So interesting. What's a different emotion that maybe you want to experience in this space with your partner and doing the rock climbing and doing the bike rides and going for the afternoon walks?
I feel like I'm sort of mirroring what Lisa said. There's this energy of like, there's this feeling of excitement and like challenge accepted. I don't know how to put that in emotion, but it's sort of like, yeah, I'm going to show up to that and unattached to the outcome and just kind of like an all in feeling. Like I'm all in, done. I don't care what the result is. I'm just all in. And so I don't know how to language that in a feeling, but I guess it's an excited and this all in feeling.
Yeah. Yeah. Sometimes I like to think of that as surrendering. And, you know, sometimes I like to engage with this idea of surrender. And
love that.
For me, that means I'm being 100% authentic in the way I'm showing up and I'm allowing the experience to be fully present and to just really bless me and bless my partner or my children or my coworker. Whatever.
I love that word. Yep. Surrendered. That's beautiful. Oh, that feels.
Hey, I want you to do a little work around that one. I can give you an assignment of, you know, sit with that emotion and maybe work it into a thought and explore it as the emotion and see if it would serve you more abundantly.
Beautiful. I will do that.
Okay. I'm going to take one more call or one more comment, and thank you for your participation, friends. I see so many really good comments here in our chat box. I appreciate it. Let's see. And okay, is there anyone who would like to be coached that has not thrown a comment on the side or wants to raise their hand? Jackie, are you interested in coaching at all? I wanted to make sure I have some clients with us tonight, Jillian and Jackie being one of them. I wanted to make sure they had an opportunity. Okay, I see your hand.
Can you hear me?
I totally can hear you, Jackie.
Okay, well, procrastination.
Okay, let's talk about it.
Okay. During the week when I come home, I don't necessarily, I think about all the things during the week that I need to do. And I say, okay, Monday through Friday, I'll do a little at a time. I'll do this Monday, I'll do that. I don't do anything all week and I leave it to the weekend. And then the weekend comes and I almost feel resentful for the fact that I have so much to do and I want to do nothing on my weekend. So
Right.
it's continues like that. And I actually, when I do something, I feel really great about it. Like, oh, I got this accomplished. I got this accomplished. But it doesn't teach me. It doesn't, I still do the same thing over and over.
Okay. Okay. So you have activities that need your attention during the week, Monday
Right.
through Thursday.
Mm.
And if I understand correctly, you're putting these things off because you're procrastinating on them.
Right.
And you push them to Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
That's right.
Okay. So what is your thought about the activities that require your attention? Because that's the circumstance, that's the event or the situation at hand. You have activities that require your attention, and the thought is?
Well, there's some things I want to do and some things I don't want to do, but sometimes I do neither.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't want to waste my weekend doing things I don't want to do. And I just run out of time to do what I need to do. And it just starts to become one thing after another.
Okay.
A list becomes a list.
Okay. So you have these activities that require your attention, and your thought is, well, there are some things that I do want to do, and there's some things that I don't want to do. So
Right.
when you have that thought and you're leaning on that belief about the activities that are asking for your attention, and you have this repeat in your mind over and over again, there are some things that I want to do, and there's a lot of things I don't want to do. Then what kind of an emotion does that fuel for you?
Oh, anxiety.
Oh, okay. Very
Well,
good.
it's more on the mind than it needs to be. And it's just do it and get it over with and clear your
Okay.
mind. So it's anxiety, I guess.
When you feel the emotion of anxiety, then how does that show up in your behavior choices? What do you do or what do you not do?
Well, I'm learning with you not to turn to food.
Right?
And I'm
Right?
pretty good that way. I don't know. I'm
Okay, I'm going to offer you this.
okay.
Does anxiety fuel you into action, or does it fuel you into
Oh,
reaction?
no. To reaction. Then I get stubborn and I get where, I'll say, oh, I just don't want to be doing this. Like a little tantrum.
Okay.
An internal tantrum.
So you have a little meltdown, you have a little bit of a tantrum.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you take action on the things that need done, or do you choose to
I
go watch
do.
Netflix, or do you?
Well, yeah, that's what it is. I should just do it. And I know that I'd feel good about it if I do it. But sometimes it turns into Netflix and the whole day is gone and I'm done nothing.
Yes.
Yeah.
And more often than not, anxiety works that way. Anxiety will trigger us into I call it buffering, but, inaction. And
Right.
we find everything else in the world to do, right? We reorganize the bathroom cabinets, or
That's
we file our
true.
mails, we
Right.
call friends,
Uh-huh.
rather than attending to that list that really needs our attention. And
Right.
so when you're buffering and you're having the internal tantrums and the meltdown, what's
Mhm.
the end result for you?
I'm nothing. I'm not getting anything done. It's making it worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
An increased dissatisfaction with yourself, true?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Now, as I shared with you before, as human beings, we naturally want to seek pleasure, avoid pain, and expend the least amount of effort possible, right?
Right. Yes.
And so when you have this belief, there's some things I want to do and a lot of things I don't want to do, it fuels you through anxiety to kind of not show up and take action, and you choose buffering behaviors instead. And then the result is that you have increased dissatisfaction with yourself because you're not.
I let this happen, right? I let it happen. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of this negative perpetual cycle that obviously is familiar. It's like driving to the grocery store. You've repeated it a lot.
Right.
And we have to ask ourselves to interrupt the cycle. So that being said, you're always going to have the list of things, the activities that require your attention. what ultimately do you want to experience? What's the ultimate outcome that you want for yourself, given that these activities are always going to be there?
I would like to take care of them during the week a little at a time so that on the weekend, I'm not looking at them at all.
Okay. So you take care of your activities just a little bit at a time, so then your weekend is available to you, right?
Yes, to do what I want to do.
Okay. And when you take care of your activities a little at a time so that your weekend can be open and available to you, what's required with your actions?
To plan it.
Okay.
To just do it, to get it done.
Okay. All right. To really execute and do it.
Right.
Okay.
That's it, really. I'd stop, get off Facebook, shut the TV.
Okay. And what emotion can you utilize to help yourself step into that action and really just like create a workable plan and then execute?
Oh, a commitment.
Okay. Commitment. What else comes to mind when you're thinking of your emotions?
I don't know. Well, I don't know. I don't I don't know.
How about maybe engagement or discipline? Or
Oh yeah.
do any of
Yeah,
those feel good to you?
Yeah, to be disciplined to do it was to make a commitment and be disciplined to get it done. To
Okay.
see it through.
And when you want to have ownership over this emotion of being disciplined, what do you need to think and believe about yourself?
That I can do it.
And tell me what the it is.
That I can get my list done as I plan it and feel good about it. I'm sure if I did it during the week as it got further along, it would be better. You know, it takes time for a habit too. And sometimes if we get going, you know, we can stick to it and really it turns into something that wasn't even that difficult to do if I had just.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You can do it, and you can do it in small chunks, in small
Right.
increments, right?
Right.
So anxiety for sure is never going to serve us well. It's going to keep us in this place of like stagnation and buffering.
Right.
But when we get committed to ourselves and we honor our word and we really do take action from this place of commitment and discipline, then it leads to you taking care of your activities and having time available on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday.
Right.
It's going to require experimentation though, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, this will be a new experience for you. And yet, guess what, friend? The more evidence you create in doing what you say you're going to do, the more confidence and capability you're going to build. And pretty soon, it won't even be an issue at all. It'll be like something of the past because
it's just something that I do now. It's a habit, and you know, it just keeps moving along. Yeah, I get that.
Yeah, give it a try.
Right.
Give it a try. Create a new plan and allow
Uh-huh.
yourself to be vulnerable in like following through on that and experimenting with something new. Okay.
Okay. All right. Thanks,
Thank
Samantha.
you. Thank you.
Okay.
Kathy.
Bye-bye.
Okay, friends, we are at the end of our hour. I am so appreciative of you all joining me. I want to share my screen one more time. And let's see. Come on. Oh, there we are. I want to share my screen with you one more time. If you would enjoy receiving the emails that I send out on a weekly basis and taking advantage of more coaching tools, or if you would enjoy having a one-on-one appointment and being able to come into coaching as a regular activity in your life, or if you have some friends or family that you think would enjoy meeting with me and learning more about coaching and being able to like be more observant to their mindset and their thoughts and their emotions and really offering themselves something new and better to create better results in their lives, then feel free to share my information. Like I said, I always offer free appointments for my new clients because more important than having a new client is ensuring that we're a good match. And in coaching friends, in coaching new acquaintances, my goal is always to ensure that working with me is going to prove to be a true benefit to them, and that they're also going to be a benefit within my practice as well. Thank you for joining me today. I really have enjoyed this opportunity. I appreciate you showing up. I will be sending out a fun worksheet for everybody to utilize through my Thursday takeaway message. So if you're not currently receiving my emails, get on my list so I can provide you with lots of free content and really good tools. And I will also include a replay from this coaching call this hour. Thank you again. I appreciate all your time, and have a beautiful, beautiful evening. Take care.